Yo, it's your homeboy Kirosagi in the building. Welcome to episode 45 of my One Piece discussion series. In this episode, I answered the questions given in episode 40, which is my first Q&A. Initially, I thought I'd answer them in episode 50, but I realized that questions and comments addressing my answers to the questions from the past Q&A would get mixed up, so I decided to split things up so that the comment sections will stay nice and cluster free, so everyone gets to like have a nice conversation and stuff. So yeah, let's start. So the first question is from Evil Crash 30001. Question number one. Do you think Zoro's Ashura attack has anything to do with his cursed sword? If not, do you think it's haki or something else? No, I think there's compatibility and synergy present, but nothing more. We barely know anything about Ashura, and it has only been used once, pretty much. All we can do at this point is make wild guesses. If you pay attention to this picture that should be shown right now, you should see a slight distinction between the extra arms and the extra heads, and the real arms and the real head. That implies that this is either an illusion or a spiritual attack. Um, I can't really go any further than that, really. Question number two is from Black Demon One, and that is how many humans are now on Fishman Island? I can't give you a number, but I would say that it's between 30 to 50% of the current population of living things that would be in what do you call it, Fishman Island. So let's say you have 100 humans, you're gonna have 100 or more fishmen. Between like 100 or 150 or something along those lines. It's not gonna be crazy, and that's how Oda's gonna do it. So just to make it clear that the beef has gone, so he's gonna put a lot of humans just so that we know that the beef has gone. Next question is from Eric Solberg Fins. He asks, how strong is Rockstar in the Red Hair crew? Now, at Jaya, in the Jaya arc, he had a bounty of 94 million berry. Now, I made a mistake in the screenshot thing, but it's 94, not 96. And yeah, that's a really high bounty, like at the time. So he was almost a supernova in the Jaya arc, so he's definitely a beast. And I can't make comments on his strength itself, apart from obviously that he's a beast. But the fact that Oda bothered to name him, this implies that he's going to return to the story at some point. That's at least how I feel about things. The next question from Eric is question number 4. Can you rank the Straw Hats 1 to 9 in strength? Okay, here we go. Number 1, Luffy. Number 2, Zoro. Number 3, Sanji. Pretty straightforward. Number 4, Frankie slash Sogeking. Now, the reason why Frankie is so high up is, I mean, even pre-time skip, he was pretty strong, but Frankie is a robot. He can't really uh get stronger through regular combat, and he stated at the beginning of what do you call it of the new world that he's not going to upgrade his armor. So the best thing Frankie can do is maybe learn haki. So he might put some armament haki on his on himself. So that's the only way he can really get stronger is through haki. But outside of haki, the way he is now is pretty much the way he's going to be throughout the rest of the series. So for that reason, I'm leaving him high up, very high up in the what do you call it, Straw Hat crew. And next is Sogeking, but I'm putting him in the same spot, which is number 4. And again, Sogeking is a strong character in my opinion. Just beneath the monster trio, I think even Usopp at his best shouldn't really outdo the monster trio. I mean, it's not easy to say. I mean, we didn't see too much of Sogeking. I mean, like he didn't really fight anyone one on one or anything. But yeah, I think Sogeking in general, or at least Usopp when he's brave and stuff, has a lot of potential. Next is Brook. I think he's really underrated. His speed is ridiculous. It's pretty much just a sort of combination of Zoro and Sanji. So he's fast like Sanji, and he's a swordsman. Obviously, he lacks the strength that both characters have, but you can't give him everything. Otherwise, he's gonna be sort of like Luffy. Next, we have Robin. Pretty straightforward. Robin, some of you would have put a bit higher in the list, but I do think Brook would beat Robin, and he's just a strong character in general. Obviously, he hasn't fought many characters at all, really. I mean, he's only fought one character outside of Thriller Bark, which was the dude from Fishman Island, and even then, that was a sort of fodder fight. So, it's really hard for me to justify why I think he's as strong as I say he is, but this is just my opinion. It's not a fact. Next is Chopper. Chopper. I don't know what to say about Chopper. Well, I do see him getting stronger as the series progresses. I'm gonna do a theory about that later on. But the fact that he can use the monster from casually makes you wonder like what the rumble balls are like, used for and shit. Like if he takes an excess number of like rumble balls, what's he gonna do? You know what I'm saying? So I want to see what his new form of like the monster form is, or like what happens when he takes too many rumble balls, that kind of shit. But so far, simply being able to use the monster form casually makes him a huge threat, and he has his like complete mind and all that. So Chopper is definitely up there. Usopp is Usopp. The reason why Usopp isn't last is pre-time skip I'd have put him last, but post-time skip he has, these plants and stuff, so he isn't nearly as useless as before. So I definitely put him above Nami. Obviously, Nami has better crowd control, but I'm thinking about one-on-one fights when I'm making this list. Mainly one-on-one fights because, fighting further generally isn't a problem. Fighting further or fighting groups generally isn't a problem for any of the Straw Hats really. So yeah, that's pretty much my list. I'll repeat it once more: Luffy, Zoro, Sanji, Frankie slash Soga King, Brook, Robin, Chopper, Usopp, Nami. Now let's move to the next question. Number 5, again by Eric Solberg Fins. How strong is X Drake and is his devil fruit any good? It seems like it doesn't do much. Like he doesn't do much with it. Um, I agree. He doesn't do much with it, but that might simply be him getting the fruit relatively close to what do you call it? Relatively close to the Sabaody arc. We don't know when he got the fruit, for example, but yes, overall he didn't do much with his fruit. He transformed directly into a dinosaur. He didn't do a sort of hybrid like we saw with Kako, Jabra, and Rob Lucci. So, post time skip, I definitely think we'll see a hybrid of human and dinosaur rather than him going straight to dinosaur, and that's gonna be crazy. Um, at the end of the day, he's still a Zoan, so he's nothing hacks. Uh, his powers are gonna be pretty much the same, except he's gonna do more damage and gonna be physically stronger for the most part. Obviously, he has blades and teeth and stuff. We can include that as well. But yeah, overall, X Drake is very underrated, and in my opinion, he was stronger than Zero pre-time skip. Now, I think he's gonna be rocking full body armaments when next we see him, and I'll just go through a few of X Drake's feats to sort of justify, quote unquote, my statement of him being underrated. Now, he was the only supernova to make a pacifista bleed. That's one of his feats. Now, granted, this was done in the dinosaur form, so you could take that away from him if you wanted to. He kicked supernova into a building. Now, this was done in human form, while Blackleg Sanji couldn't do the same. And Blackleg Sanji, you would expect him to be the one doing that kind of shit. Now, Blackleg Sanji almost broke his foot on Kuma. And to the best of our knowledge, Kuma didn't display any use of haki. For example, Zoro caught him. Uh, but yeah, that's just an example. Next, he's what do you call it? He stopped two fellow supernovas, which was Killer, who is Zoro's rival, and Uroge, who was using a devil fruit. So that's an insane feat of strength. And again, he wasn't in dinosaur form when he did it. So he was either rocking haki in both cases, or no, that's simply brute strength. The haki could be said for him kicking a pacifist, but not for like really him stopping two other supernovas, or at least in my opinion. But either case, whether it was with haki or not, he's still a beast in terms of strength. And pre-time skip, I'd say he's stronger than Zoro. Once again, his Zoan is pretty basic, but it does boost his strength more than any other regular Zoan that we can imagine, because it is stated that the more carnivorous your Zoan is, the more it boosts your strength and enhances your senses and all that kind of stuff. And he has a goddamn T-Rex, bro. It doesn't really get more carnivorous than that, you know what I'm saying? And finally, bear in mind, once again, that he did not demonstrate a CP9 level of Zoan mastery pre-time skip. That's pretty much all I have to say about X Drake. So, pardon the background noise right there. It's like I live like with these trains and shit. But moving on to the next question. Question number 6. What will happen to Marco and what is his future role? This is another question by Eric Silberg Fins. And this is a very interesting question. I actually wanted to do a video about it, but you know what? I'm going to answer your questions and I'll just answer it right here and now. Blackbeard has been claiming Whitebeard territories, so sooner or later he might bump into Marco, who would most likely be chilling in one of Whitebeard's territories, and naturally they would fight each other. Now, whether he kills Marco or not is up to Oda. Oda can do a bunch of things which would save Marco, because Blackbeard with Marco's fruit is very hacks, and having an ally with Marco's fruit can be very beneficial to the storyline because his food is hacked, so it's useful for plot devices and stuff. And finally, Marco's a fan favorite, and it's if Oda can keep characters like Pell alive, he's definitely gonna keep Marco alive, or at least that's the way I see things. So Marco and Blackbeard fighting, definitely, but Marco dying or losing his fruit, that's a very big maybe, very big. Next question is from Kevin Durant, 23. Question number 7. How strong do you think Luffy will be end of series? Without seeing a Yonko fight in the prime, it is hard to say. I'll say this much. Island-wide Gear 3rd attack. Next question, question 8. Do you think Luffy will be Doofy? And that's Doflamingo for those of you who don't get it. My answer is no. Not solo, but with help, I can agree with you. Doflamingo beats Luffy on paper in terms of matchup and just being logical, and we saw the results when he fought Law, who is not only a swordsman with haki, but also has a hack's fruit, which is arguably better than Luffy's fruit. For example, we can argue whether Luffy will be Dorego or not, Now, even if you think Luffy is stronger than Law, the difference in strength that they would have, whether you think, regardless of who you think is stronger or weaker, will not be enough to justify his victory over Doflamingo. Whoever you think is stronger between Luffy and Law, they're still going to be pretty close in terms of strength. And we saw how Doflamingo furtherized Law, and Doflamingo definitely doesn't have a quote-unquote advantage in the matchup. The only thing I can say in Luffy's favor is King's Haki. And what does this mean? Now, I don't think King's Haki is going to win him the match, but it might help him break out of Doflamingo's strings, because once Doflamingo grabs you in his strings, like he did with Sanji and Diamond Jozo, it's a wrap. Unless you're a logger, it's a wrap. However, with King's Haki, Luffy might be able to break out of it. So I don't know how that's going to happen, or if that's what it's going to do. And I was going to mention this in my Luffy versus Doflamingo video, but I promised to try my best to answer you guys' questions. So here we are, little spoiler for my subs. Next question, again by Kevin Durant, 23. Number 9, final villain. I would say it's between Gorosei or Blackbeard. It's up to Oda. If the Gorosei are going to be legit, I see them as the final villains. And then Blackbeard will be just before them. But it could still be Blackbeard after them. It really depends on what the One Piece is going to be and how Oda handles the story. But the way I see it right now is Gorosei as the final villain and Blackbeard right before them. Look at my Path of Zoro video for more info on that topic of where the Gorosei are in terms of strength and all that kind of stuff. Next question is by Nameless Jack 14. Question number 10. What do you think of CP0? They showed up in the Dressrosa arc. To me, they seem like they could be on Admiral level. I assume that they're either just below or just above Admiral level. I think they may be above Admiral level since they were absent from Marineford, similar to Kong, And I've already done 2 videos on CP0, so you can check those out if you're still interested, but I'll quickly address my Kong comment a bit. Why do you think Kong wasn't in Marineford? The answer is simple. He has to do with something more important than an execution, which is protecting the Tenryubito or dealing with the Tenryubito. And since the CP0 deal with the Tenryubito and not the Admirals, since they directly deal with the Tenryubito and not the Admirals, I would assume that it's a sort of CP0 saying, it's sort of like the Celestial Dragon saying, okay, we want our own Admirals, and then here's Admirals for common people. You know what I'm saying? So that's the way I see it. Obviously, it's up to Oda. We haven't seen these dudes like raise a finger, literally, So this is all my opinion, my assumption, and all that kind of stuff. But I've given you guys reasons as to why I'm using this train of thought. Next question, question 11. Who is your favorite villain in OP? Personally, mine is Kaku. Again, this is by Nameless Jack 14. I can't give you a favorite. It's not that I don't want to answer your question, I really do, but no matter who I pick, I feel I would feel terrible leaving out other villains that I like. For example, Kaku that you mentioned, he wouldn't be my favorite villain, but I'd feel terrible leaving him out, or leaving Rob Lucci out, or leaving whoever else I like out. It's a really tough question. But just so I don't leave you like completely, so I don't completely abandon the question, I'll tell you my least favorite villain. And my least favorite would be between Wapol or Hody Jones. Wapol, he's just fodder, and there's literally nothing I can like about him. Hody Jones, the reason why I'm putting him here is because I prefer Arlong to Hody Jones, and Hody Jones just didn't. Again, this is very similar to Wapol. I don't really have anything that I can like about this character or about his fighting style or anything about him really. So these two characters, I can't find any reason why I would like them. So they're my least favorite villains. But for the most part, Oda has done a fantastic job with the villains. Obviously, like some more than others, but from like the top ones I simply cannot pick out a favorite. It's like picking out your favorite son or daughter. It's that kind of thing. Um, Next question, number 12, final question by Nameless Jack 14. Do you think that Blackbeard is going to defeat Shanks and his crew before Luffy can get to them? No, it's not impossible, but I think Usopp will meet his dad before he dies. There's a reason Usopp's face has been hidden from his wanted poster so far, and I think that is connected to, sorry, I think this is because Oda wants his dad to meet him, and this would sort of fill in that plot hole as to, okay, if Yasop saw Usopp's bounty poster, wanted poster, why didn't he go looking for Usopp? That kind of stuff that would fill in this gap. Now, I just shows that, spoiler alert, Usopp has done some controversial stuff, so his bounty might rise, or he might get a new bounty poster. So that's a big question as to whether that would happen or not. So at the same time, we do have the birdcage, which is preventing certain things from happening. So Oda might be able to fill in that plot hole that might arise and stuff. But yeah, that's pretty much the answer to my question, kept as simple as possible. Like I said, it's not impossible, but I think not. And my reason would be Usopp and Yasop. I definitely see them having some father and son time. I think it's going to be kind of heartless if Usopp never meets his dad and stuff, because his mom died really early and shit. You know what I'm saying? That's pretty much it for my first Q&A. My next will be in episode 50. Remember to leave a comment, like, subscribe, check out my other vids, all that good stuff. Before I go on, or before I leave, I have a question for my subs, and the question is, who is your favorite OP villain? And yeah, this is just to sort of compensate for like failing to answer Nameless Jack's question. But yeah, feel free to let me know in the comments. I'll make a list of all of you guys' answers, probably in one of my next videos or some shit. As always, thank you guys for watching.